Hi guys, and welcome to this edition of Phyrefli's Video Digest. As always, thank you very much for watching. Now, if you watched the digest that I put out yesterday, you'll know that I'm running a competition this weekend to be able to win a full key for 2 Dawn's upcoming title called Ravaged. Now, I've talked about Ravaged before. It's one of my top 3 games I'm looking forward to this year. But what I'm going to do on this particular digest is show you some footage and some gameplay from the game whilst taking you through a lot of what the game can do. Now, please keep in mind it's in a beta. It's literally just in the last few days come out of alpha. So the game still has issues, glitches, etc, as you would expect from a beta. However, it's still a ton of fun to play. In fact, as you can watch this, you'll notice that this Dune buggy, the controls are I seem to be a bit all over the place. That's because while playing this game I found a bug which was on the Dune buggy, the controls for it. That's been posted up on their site. Fingers crossed in the next update or 2 it'll be fixed. A good example of what beta means. And I think quite a few games these days use the phrase beta and get it mixed up with demo. This is definitely a beta, so you can help make this game better if you're in the beta. Now at the moment, certainly in the alpha, there were 4 maps that we had. One which came towards the very end, 3 others which were there, always there. This map is called Canyon. It does have a canyon running through the middle which you can jump over. The particular game mode that's being played is called Resource. It's a relatively simple game mode. What you have to do is to take their resource, which is represented by a can of fuel on the map, grab that, take it back to your base. Now at the moment, I think on this particular game there was about 10v10. Ravaged can go all the way up to 64 players. That's 32 versus 32. You can see the amount of fun we were having with just that low number of players. It's a lot of fun, an incredible amount of fun once you start hitting 32 and above. Now you may have noticed that there's also flag capture points on the map as well. Now as it stands at the moment, capturing a flag doesn't benefit you in terms of points. The only thing that you get that are worth points is capturing the resource of the enemy team. And as you can see at the top, we've done that once so far this game. However, from a tactical point of view, if you capture flags which are close to the enemy base, you can spawn on those flags, you can grab a vehicle from that flag, and that means that as soon as the resource is available back at the enemy's base, you're very, very close to that base to be able to get in quickly, steal it from them, and get out. So at the moment, that's a tactical benefit of holding flags. But there's no benefit to you as a player because you don't get points for it. Now this is again one of the things that I like about 2 Dawn games and the way that they do things. My good friend Stoner from Team Rush, who as you may know is heavily into competitive gaming, he and a few others are chatting to 2 Dawn and asking them if it's possible to have points given for capturing flags. Not only then do you get the tactical benefit of having a flag, but you also get the additional benefit of getting points for yourself and your team, which, let's be honest, in a competitive environment doesn't really matter. But when you're playing on a public server and when you're playing with a bunch of pubs, if you get additional points for capturing a flag, they'll capture a flag. And that brings me nicely on to the competitive scene. One of the things about this game you'll notice is that if you shoot somewhere, that's where your bullet goes, or where your round goes. First of all, there's no lock-on in this game. If you're going to hit something, you're going to hit it with your own skill, not by any kind of aid or lock-on aid. Which means that there's none of this suppression, there's none of this random deviation malarkey that we've seen in certain other games, which I guess we don't need to mention. This means that from a competitive point of view, if you're playing the game competitively, and it is one thing that 2 Dawn are aiming at, you can practice and practice and practice and practice, and then when you've practiced and you've got your movement and your accuracy and your aiming correct, it's repeatable. You can do it time and again, which means that the game rewards skill. It means it rewards practice, which is what competitive teams are looking for. Now, there's already actually a spectator mode in it. So now you've got a game which can be done competitively and which can be broadcast. And as I say, Stoner from Team Rush is involved in this. He's been one of the alpha testers as well. And he, I suspect, will be doing some very great casts when the game comes out. And he's a fantastic caster. One of the best in my personal opinion. So coming back to the game, it's up to 64 players, as you know. Large maps. You've got several different types of vehicle. The side I'm playing on this time is the scavengers, and within the lore of the game, those are almost kind of bandits or civilians who have, in this post-apocalyptic future, very little. They go around scavenging, as the name suggests, and taking things from other players, from other sides as well. As you may notice at the moment, I'm actually hanging around in their base, as is the guy there. And what we tried to do, and we managed it, was to stop him from bringing our resources back to his base. So we killed the guy. Unfortunately, I was killed before I could grab hold of our resources, which are the blue icon on top of the screen. Because this is still a fairly new game, and I think a lot of the team on all the players on the opposition team didn't quite understand what was going on. If you watch it now, we were able to get into their base, grab our resources and get it back. Those little blue dots are places where you can spawn. Some of them are captured flags, some of them like this are a vehicle. Now, as you can see, it's just said I returned the resource because I managed to get it back. And there you see a good example of a bug. That's something that has also been reported back to 2 Dawn for fixing. And again, it's a beta. Bugs and glitches are expected, that's part of the game. What I'm being hit by now is the ornithopter, or baby helicopter if you want to call it that. And that's why I went through this little canyon area to try to get his angle of fire so steep that he couldn't hit me, and it did actually work. If you want to hit one of the ornithopters when they're up in the air, the only thing you're going to be hitting them with is unguided missiles or with your own rifles. There's, as I mentioned before, there's none of this guided stuff. So here you can see, I'm heading back to our base there, making sure, hanging around a little bit just to make sure that none of their guys come in to try and steal our stuff. You can, as I mentioned, spawn on vehicles. The Dune Buggy and the Trikes are single player vehicles. The other ones are multiple player vehicles, and if you just saw in the distance there one of the bad guys coming in. The future, as I say, is definitely possible. Oh, and there you can see another bad guy. What happens here is that I'm trying to shoot him out of his vehicle and don't manage it. While what he should have been doing here is to try and get in and to get our resource. Instead he messes around trying to kill me first. Then his mate comes in, and between the two of them they manage it. As you can see, our guys are bringing their resources back to our base, so we get a point for that. They managed to steal ours, but from what I can remember of this game, they weren't able to get it back to us. So this is a spawn back in another vehicle. One of the crazy things about this game is that the vehicles will do 360s. If you leave the sensitivity high, from what it is, in other words, the default sensitivity, you'll be doing that a lot of the time. Which is why I brought the sensitivity down to stop that happening and to be able to have a much better control of the vehicles. As you can see, the layout of this is 5 classes. You can spectate if you want to, join team, move team across. So even in the beta mode, it is fairly well finished. Graphically, it's not the best game you'll ever see. Personally, I think this map is the best graphically. As is Liberty, that shows it off quite well. I'm going to show you one of the maps later on called Icebreaker, and I've deliberately put this one in because, as I mentioned at the beginning, I want to kind of show you warts and all. And Icebreaker is one map which I think, although the map itself is fantastic, graphically there's just something about it that I really don't like. So I want to make sure that you guys have an accurate impression of the game. Now the map that's moved on to now is called Liberty, and you'll see why in a second. For the simple reason that this is a map based around the fallen Statue of Liberty. And once you start playing this game, especially in this map, you'll find lots of little different places where you can go to. Well, if you do play this, have a wander around the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. You'll find a nice little place in there that you can go to. There, you can just see in the future, in the distance there. That's what happens if one of your friendlies decides to run you over. For all the games that I've been playing here, friendly fire has been on. As you can see, the ragdoll physics do need a bit of work. Your arms are at really weird positions. This, I think, is the best shot in this entire video. That is just lovely and really kind of gives you a feel for how fast this game is. And it is fast. I'd just like to point out that the stuttering you saw there was my absolutely crappy Spanish internet connection. That was not a game issue. The game and the footage you've seen today is with every single possible graphical option whacked up to full. I'm running this on my new GTX 670, and as I say, on Liberty and on Canyon I think this game looks great. This is Icebreaker. Now, this is an infantry only map, and the game type we're playing here is Conquest. There wasn't too many players on here, and if you notice, the graphics on this, there's just something I don't like, especially when it comes to the players. I'm not sure how finished this map is. From a map point of view, from the different pathways and the way that everything's laid out, it's actually excellent. It looks at first glance as if it's very clustered and very corridorish. It's not. Spend a bit of time on this map, have a look around it, see which different ways you can go, and you'll find it's actually a really wide open map. It is a lot of fun, with a lot of different ways of getting from A to B, and you've got the icebreaker. It's a broken icebreaker in the middle. But it is a fantastic map, but there's just something graphically about this. It doesn't quite feel like it's there. And for some reason the movement doesn't seem to be quite there. Again, could be just me, could be, I'm not sure what it is. What you saw there was the ability to cut grenades. So the longer you hold the left mouse button, the longer you hold the grenade. If you leave it to the right to the very end, you'll suicide because you'll drop the nade at your feet. I know, I've done it. So that's it for this have a look at Ravaged video. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, let me know. I'll put the details for Tudorn's website in the description for the video. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am running a competition at the moment where you can win a complete game key for this game. All you've got to do is be a subscriber to me on YouTube, be a follower of me on Twitter, and like my page on Facebook. If you do all three, you triple your chances. The draw for that takes place Sunday, 1 o'clock Central European Time, and I'll let the winner know immediately and put out a small digest just so that everyone knows who won. My contact details are at the end of the video. That's it, Phyrefli signing off. As always, enjoy your gaming, take care.